I am super excited to be today with this amazing couple from beautiful Petoskey, Michigan, which I'll let you guys share. And fortunately, I get to coach Bill and Elisa Winslow, and it is an honor and a joy to be able to work with them. So, uh, Elisa and Bill, welcome to the conversation we're going to have about you and what great things you've been doing in Northern Michigan with real estate. Your story, to be quite honest, is one of the best stories that I've been part of in my career as coaching. And so I'm honored just to connect with you and have you here today. So tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, how long you've been in the business, and what's business like in Northern Michigan. And let's start. So who would like to start, Elisa or Bill?
Okay, I'll go first. So I was originally licensed in 2001. So I've been selling real estate now for 24 years. And Elisa joined me several years ago. But I was a solo agent for the first, I would say, probably 15 years or so. And we'll probably go through a little bit the progress that I made in growing my business and the team, mainly with the help of Lover You and most definitely the help of Elisa.
Yeah, and I joined Bill 4 years ago. I had a 20-year career in the banking business, first in sales and then in leadership. And I was traveling quite a bit for that role. And post COVID, I always thought that as my kids got older, travel would get a little bit easier. And those of you that have older kids are laughing right now because opposite happens. They get involved in travel sports and need their mom for bigger kid problems. And so we made the decision in 21 that I would leave my cushy corporate job with all the benefits and health insurance and step out in faith and go to work with Bill and his growing real estate business.
Well, I can tell you that I don't mean to speak for Bill, but you've been a great contribution, I think, to the team. So, Bill, how would you describe your wife coming to work for you?
Is great. I'd like to think that I'm business minded, but I don't really love tracking the numbers and all of that. My approach was always sort of just go out and get more business, and that'll solve all of the problems.
Mhm.
Which it does to some degree, but certainly tracking your numbers, getting a handle on the business, understanding where business is coming from and where you're going to grow. Elisa really helped with that, with her past business experience, and then using the platform that Glover U and coaching has helped us with. Those two combined really took, no longer my business, but our business really took it to the next level.
Mhm.
So I mean, that what you say makes complete sense from my standpoint because I coach you. And so I guess I would ask you is before you got into coaching, right? Oh, and by the way, Elisa is great at calling expired listings. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's been a great adding some sources to your business, Bill, because you've done such a fabulous job with your past clients and sphere of influence, um, which is one of the greatest things that because of your skill and your professionalism and your care for your clients, that has been a huge source. So it's been fun to watch, Elisa also coming in and helping with the additional sources, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So before you got into coaching, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced in how you got through them and why you decided to get into coaching, I guess is a good question.
Sure. So it was really sort of, I was a one man show, like most realtors, just working on their own, and had this internal desire to really grow my business and sort of take it next level. So I was developing sort of on my own some uh, very basic systems, but they still weren't. I was lacking a lot of efficiencies. I was taking my own photos. I was doing my own signs. I
Yeah.
was sort of had my created my own checklists, and that really sort of capped me at some point. And then I knew I had to hire an assistant really to get to the next level. And I did that. And then I attended one of the very early on uh, Glover U events down in downstate Michigan. So I attended one of those events, and I was struggling a little bit with just how to manage the assistant and how to structure that. And so that's when I first started coaching, and that really just the accountability of prospecting and then how to handle and grow with the assistant is really where then I think the business maybe doubled in within that first 12 months. I mean, almost instantly. I didn't really see my time necessarily freeing up, still working 6, maybe 7 days a week, but I was more focused on income generating activities at that point. So that was sort of the launch of how coaching really started to change, at least in the initial years.
Yeah, and that was like 2019, if I remember
Correct. Yeah.
correctly.
Oh, so that's right. That was right before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah. I'll just add in there having a coach and the Glover U family during COVID um, was, I just couldn't have imagined being an agent all alone, or, if you didn't have a strong brokerage or broker, the Glover U and the coaching experience was just so positive during that time frame when everybody I think was really petrified. I mean, we couldn't, at least in northern Michigan, we could not leave our homes and go show properties, and so there was a couple months there that it was very terrifying. However, with coaching, I mean, I still had my coaching calls, and we still did a lot of webinars. We just kept a really positive attitude, and so I didn't experience, I think, the fear that a lot of other people did. And who knew that the market was just going to be amazing right after that. But I was positioned probably much better than the majority of agents to capitalize on the boom that came very quickly after that spring COVID issue.
Yeah, and focusing back in on the numbers in 2019, I think several years in a row, I wasn't an agent yet. I wasn't involved in his business, but I
Yes.
did all the taxes. He went from like every year he was like 185,000 in GCI, 185,000 in GCI, and then he hired Glover U and he got the assistant lined up properly, 400,000 that next year. So he doubled, and then we've had incremental growth every single year that he's been with Glover U.
Yes, which is very exciting. And during that COVID time, it was such an odd feeling, the whole thing. So what I love about what you said, Bill, I mean, obviously the production is, you know, fantastic that you guys are growing and you doubled it at that time. But also when it can be such a lonely business. And if you have a coach, it's nice to have that guidance and support during, up and down times, which is what life is. Um, so I appreciate that you said that, and it makes a lot of sense. So with one of the things that it's been a joy. So Elisa, you said you came into the business. I know you just said it, but what year was that?
21.
Yeah. So a couple years later, and then I've had the pleasure with working with you. I think about 2 years now, and now both you and Bill, which is again, in all sincerity, has been a joy for me. Um, Taking your trajectory, which you can share with the audience, is pretty fun to watch what you did in 2024. Saying that, I wanted to ask you, how is the one-on-one coaching, helped you reach the goal? What is it that's helping you keep growing? And I always say, we have the easy part, you have the hard part. Saying that, I'm curious of what you think the one-on-one has helped you reach your goal and why.
The single most important thing for me is mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
when I first got into the business, I had still somewhat of a scarcity mindset. I had a little bit of fear about leaving the sure thing of my salary and the 401k and the health insurance and stepping out into commission-based business. And the work that we did early on in mindset has changed my life, both professionally and personally, kind of shifting more to I can control our income if I control my activities. and
Mm-hmm.
I can control um, the quality of my life if I get everything right here. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's number one for me. And then very close second to that would be accountability.
Yeah.
And specifically, like across all things, like having a business plan, regularly monitoring the business plan. But the big one for sure, I think, has always been and always will be picking up the daggone phone and making your contacts.
Yeah. And you've done very good. So I have to go down this a little bit. Uh, the track of adding sources to our business. So one thing Elise and I have worked on in the past, and she's doing the work, is okay. What's a source we can add? And one of them that I mentioned earlier that you've excelled at is expired listings. And tell us what's worked with that and why you do it. I mean, there's a lot of people that say, oh, there's not that many in my market and we don't have that many, so I might not do that. So tell us your journey to, pull the trigger and take action.
Yeah. We definitely didn't have many during, 21, 22. Now it's getting a little more common to see listings expire. I think we're at an expiration rate right now for our market at about 16% when you look at the entire MLS.
Yeah.
We're a very small market. And so there still might only be a couple of really high quality expired listings to call per week. On January 1st, there were 55 to give you a perspective of the size of
Yes.
our market. And I called every single one of them and I have a good number for. And I think I've got 3 deals currently live from that activity and some others that I'm still working on. But what caused us to do that? Well, Bill has, developed in 24 years a, a very robust database and a primary source of business is still and hopefully always will be his sphere of influence. Now, that being said, you always worked expireds. He worked expireds through letters. So
Yeah.
every day, just drop in the letters, and then he'd get some calls. Where we took it to the next level this year is we went ahead and we invested in the system to get the numbers, so it's not so hard to go out and scrub and figure out who you're calling and call. And then every single morning at 8 o'clock on the dot, if there's an expired in my system, my prospecting system, they're getting a call from me. And we've actually had other realtors who have just starting to call expireds, tell us, they're like, I called them, but they've already talked to you.
Yeah. Which is the greatest compliment on the face of the earth.
It's the best. And so the reason why is that I like the shiny new business thing. You look at the chart that I've seen from Glover U that shows the different types of leads and the time frame that in which they would close.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I really like talking to people that have already raised their hand and said, I'm in the market. And I have a long history of sales, so I kind of enjoy it too. But I'd say developing the consistent behavior around it has been really important. But what helped me get really great at it was being a part of 76 Hard and
Yes.
committing to mastering the script.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I call, I have no nerves whatsoever. I know I'm creating value, and I know that because I know I'm so confident and smooth with my approach that I know if they answer the phone, they're going to talk to me, and I'm going to either add them to my database um, for follow up or get an appointment.
Yes. And
I was just going to add another extremely. It seems so basic, but has been such a successful formula of one-on-one coaching and the business plan that you do with your coach and that Jeff leads, and that is the double down section where you
yes.
identify. And so for me, early on, I had a lot of success with expired letters, but I don't know. I guess it sounds so basic, but you really don't think until you sit down with a coach and you do that plan. You're like, hey, what things are working and what things should I
Mm-hmm.
double down on? And that's
Mm-hmm.
really where then we introduce calling, a multi-layered letter approach to the expireds. And now I feel like we're probably definitely, not probably, we're definitely the strongest prospectors of expireds in our market.
There's no doubt about it. So I have to, ask the question. So I remember the house, right? I have the fortune, as I said earlier, that I live in the area with these wonderful people. And so, what is the highest priced expired listings that you've taken and sold?
Well, the first one sold for 2.7 million.
Yay! Right.
It was my very first
I
expired
remember it.
contact and my very first expired appointment, and we signed him on the first appointment. We were the fifth realtor that supported him.
Yeah.
And he was originally listed at a little higher price, and then with previous realtors, he was listed at a much higher price. But once we got him signed, we worked our tails off for them, with open houses and mailers and calls and consistent follow up. And so when it came time to have that pricing conversation, he said, "You're the first one, first of all, that's informed me the way that you have around pricing and helped me get comfortable with it. But secondly, you're the first one that's done the work that I feel like we're in this together." And he dropped his price, and we were under contract
Mhm.
within like a week.
I remember it well. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's so exciting. And again, the thing that's great is that you're pulling the trigger, right? You're working on your skills and you're being consistent, you're pulling the trigger. So that's fantastic. The other thing that, and thank you for chiming in on that, Bill, because one of the things when we talk about sources, right? So obviously expireds, right? We just went down that path because most people are so uncomfortable doing it. And you've done such a nice job with it. And then your past client sphere of influence is another great source that you're doing a great job on. Is there anything you'd like to comment about with your past clients and sphere about why they keep coming back to you, Bill?
I think some of the older ones, yeah, I guess it's really just the level of service, and then uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we've now sort of structured our business again with the help of coaching and Glover U, starting to identify pain points and building out systems and regular communication that and just a mentality of, hey, we're gonna deliver like the most phenomenal real estate experience that you've ever had, even if you don't know any different. And so we still have a 5-star Google rating with our clients, and now that was another double down was the sphere of influence. So really creating a plan in our CRM program and sticking to that with regular contact. So that's the again sort of the emotional proximity, because some of those early on in my career, I would go years without running into them or talking to them. And now we're touching all of them through some things that maybe we were scared to do before, like events.
Mm-hmm.
Our big signature event last year,
Yep,
which
it was beautiful, really beautiful.
we'll be doing here again in just a couple months. So it's just sort of the process, I think, of delivering great service, and then that emotional proximity of regular regular contact with the past client or the sphere.
Which makes complete sense, right? So you guys have done a really good job with implementing your systems and being consistent with them, which of course is the key. Besides, being very caring and professional with your clients, which is huge. So, what
Mhm.
is one thing that someone listening today could implement today that you would recommend? They're trying to get better at their careers, they're trying to go to the next level. What would you recommend?
Sure. I would say don't do it alone. It can be an extremely lonely business. Now we're a husband and wife team, and we've got team members on the team. And I always tell people when they join the team, one of the biggest benefits of being part of a group, whether it's a team or even if you're a solo agent, become part of an organization like Glover U. Just because, not to necessarily vent or complain, but more to be around all the other positive successes. It makes the business, when you're surrounded by people that are motivated, that are going through the same thing as you. It makes it so much
Mhm.
easier day in and day out. So my best part of advice, if you can't, I think uh, coaching we'll be coaching clients for life, just because I think um, no matter what level of success you are on, even the most successful people Some of them even have multiple coaches at
Right.
different parts of their life. So, if it's not something financially that you want to, I dragged my feet a little bit, and I wish I'd done it earlier. I was scared of that expense. But if it's something that you're not afraid to, I mean, if you're not ready to jump both feet in, is what I would recommend. If you're not ready to do that, start with a smaller group coaching program,
Mhm.
one of those 3-month programs, 76 hard or whatever it is, and become part of a group that is lifting each other up. You get some of that coaching support. That would be my strongest advice, as opposed to just trying to do self-discipline, taking the free resources and trying to self-discipline yourself. That is so challenging. And why go on that roller coaster of frustrating yourself when for a small investment that you're going to get back, you're going to get back tenfold. So that'd be my advice. What about you, Elisa?
That's really easy. Um, Pick up the phone in the morning and make your contacts.
Mhm.
I know there's like this old school versus new school social media. We've invested a lot of time and energy into our social media. We've got the YouTube videos. We have a marketing assistant. The outcomes that we get as a result of prospecting in the morning every day, that nothing holds a candle to it.
Mhm.
And Bill, I think that's where a lot of our growth has come from. If we really, even inside the SOI um, source, and then certainly, obviously, with expireds and FISBOs, it has come from doing that regular outreach. And I think it's the most important way to market proof your business,
Yeah.
because you can always adjust your volume based on what's going on in the market and protect your family and protect your bottom line through your activity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sort of funny. Our worst days in real estate, our most frustrating days, are not the days that one deal falls apart or a client is not nice or upset. It's the days that we miss our prospecting.
Mhm.
Those are that's the source of the biggest frustration, when we're get pulled away in the morning and we don't hit our numbers, because we know that's the future of our business.
That's the paycheck 90 days, 60, 90 days from now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really good advice and also wisdom right there. I mean, it just is. Because most people get caught up in the emotion and stuff of the transactions, which is normal, but that feeling of not achieving what you said you were going to do. But that's awesome advice from both of you. So obviously, we're just not even at the first quarter this year, right? Wrapping it up. Saying that, we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute, and we're almost done here. Saying that, so 2024 was a good year for you, and last year was, I believe, share with everybody how the year was last year. I believe it was one of your best.
It was our best.
Yeah.
So he and I closed 60 units together, and our team closed 97. We did 33 million in volume. The team did around 45, and we hit a million in GCI for the year.
Yes. Which I knew that, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
coaching you. But it was a big, it was a big achievement. And also, we didn't even get much into it, but they've also, everybody who's listening, they've grown a team this year.
Yeah.
And they're out there recruiting and bringing agents in. And so not only are they selling real estate well, but they're also leading agents, which is a big accomplishment. And then to hit your goal of that is a big deal.
Yeah. So we just hired our sixth agent. So that's 8 agents with the 2 of us in the mix and 2 operation people. And we never intended to have a team. But that's where we've been led because of our business growth. And so that allows us to kind of, and I think that's, we had really substantial growth in the beginning, doubled our business. Then I joined and we pretty much doubled again. And then we were up just a little bit, stayed flat. But that's when we got our time back. That's when we hired, a second operational person. We hired team members that focus predominantly on buyers. We're about 72 to 75% listings, he and I. And then, what we've created has created opportunity for our team members as well. And so that's where, but last year was really special because we got both. We got the growth and we got a little more freedom and operating leverage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. In again, it's a lot balancing agents, right? We talk about that a lot, leading them, balancing, and then making sure that you're out there in the field selling real estate. So you've done a really, really nice job. And last year was exciting. And this year you're starting off really strong in the market as well. So as we go towards March, Jeff says we have to be at 20%, and you guys have done that. So anything you want to share about this year? And
We're a highly seasonal market.
yes.
Like in the third quarter, I think he says everybody add 20% to your number. I think it's
Yeah.
even more for us. But I feel we're number one in listings taken in the MLS this year so far, which is awesome. And we're goaling at hitting that 60 units again.
Yep.
And we're moving our price point up, which we've seen that happen so far in the listings that we've taken. So we think that he and I will produce about 55 million this year. And it looks like it's early to say, but it looks like we're pacing to that.
Yeah, I've seen the numbers, and you are pacing for that. So as we wrap this up, is there, what parts of your business and life has coaching helped or impacted you?
Sure. I think all aspects, pretty much.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Certainly on the business side, that pours over into the personal side.
Mm-hmm.
So when Elisa first joined, even though we were both coaching then, business was so wild and so crazy. We didn't have a buyer's agent. We didn't have a team yet.
Right.
We were having a ton of fun, and it was new for Elisa, and we were making a ton of money. But we were, I think at the time, we didn't realize how hard we were running. And now, over the last 3 or 4 years, our children have gotten a little older and doing more things on the weekends, and so the team, I think, coaching has allowed us to become more hyper focused on our time. So back to the calling in the morning, just a better structure to how we operate our business during the days. And I would say one of the places I really struggled with, and Elisa has done a great job, and coaching has helped with that, is leverage. So knowing which things need to be assigned to an agent on the team or our staff.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Excuse me.
No, that's okay. We get it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Elisa?
Just gratitude to you and for the difference that you've made in my life and in our marriage and in our business and for our family, especially this year, and to Jeff and the whole team. So,
well, we appreciate you both very much, and as I said, it's an honor to work with you. You're such quality people, and I'm so proud of you and honored to be part of your life. And we've just begun, my friends. So thank you so much for your time today, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks.